Okay, Southwark Cathedral. On the south side there is a memorial to Shakespeare actually. I think it's like a full-size one in which he's like lying down, if I recall correctly. And how about this? Southwark Cathedral, AD 606 a convent, AD 1106 a priory, AD 1540 a parish church until Henry VIII came along, AD 1905 a cathedral. The oldest Gothic church building in London. Now, this is partly for those of you from the USA, so it's not all about the Pilgrims and the Puritans and all that. Okay, people associated with this church: Gower, Chaucer, Shakespeare, Messenger, Fletcher, Allen, Johnson, Bishop Andrews, Charles Dickens, and the one I left out, Harvard, John Harvard. This is kind of his sort of area. Just down, this is Borough Market, just here actually, and that bridge there goes into, that's the trains going into London Bridge. Just down there, a ways, probably a few hundred yards. It's now a lawyer's office, but it used to be, I think it was called the Queen's Head Inn. This is like hundreds of years ago, and that was an inn that was managed or owned by John Harvard's parents. And just a couple of hundred yards down from that, so that's south, on the east side of the road, there is a library called the John Harvard Library. Yes, and of course John Harvard, very synonymous with libraries, and not, I suppose there's no more evidence of that than, of course, what you have on the suburbs of Boston, Harvard University and all of that. And yeah, so this is where he was living before he took a boat over. Anyway, so yeah, so this is Southwark Cathedral here. That's the shard there. Okay, bye. Here's a proof now of our historic Southwark, the Queen's Head Inn, owned by the family of John Harvard, founder of Harvard University, formerly stood here. The university didn't formerly stood there, but the Queen's Head Inn did. And of course we went to Harvard not that long ago, I think. What do we know? July, 9 months ago. Anyway, and just down there, about a couple hundred yards on the left, is the John Harvard Library. That's Guy's Hospital. And I'm now, just up there is London Bridge, Borough Market on the left. And I'm heading over the bridge. Bye. Actually, just an addendum to what I just said, the last video was just down there about 100 yards. Here is the George Inn. I think the first one established 1542, although the present one apparently was built 1677. There is down there. Interesting actually. Both Shakespeare and Charles Dickens. Okay, let me do that again. William Shakespeare and Charles Dickens were both familiar with that pub. Of course, not at the same time. They were a couple of centuries apart. But nevertheless, it's one of those little tidbits of information that, I don't know, always seems to get to me. Talking of Shakespeare, there's the man himself. And you can see the names of, is that John Hemming and Henry Condell. Apparently they were very significant in bringing much of Shakespeare's works to publication. Here's an extract from the preface to the first folio of 1623. Well, anyway, I'm not going to read it, but there you go. How about that? It is believed that one of the places Shakespeare lived is just over there, a few hundred yards. It is believed. I mean, there's sometimes they've seen tax records from about the 1600s, and William Shakespeare's name has been mentioned in those tax records, including the times when he was, behind with his taxes. That was like over 400 years ago, and they're still at it these days. To the disinterested affection the world owes all that it calls Shakespeare. They alone collected their dramatic writings regardless of pecuniary loss, and without the hope of any profit gave them to the world. They thus merited the gratitude of mankind. They, of course, are these two fellows, John Hemmings and Henry Condell, fellow actors. And in fact, behind me, just down there, is the Guildhall. And the Guildhall apparently has a copy of the first folio, well, an original, sorry, not copy. And because of its mint condition, it is considered one of the top 5 first folios in existence, actually. And that's just in front of us. The Guildhall is a nice place to visit if you're ever in London, actually. A little bit of history there. It is if you like, the administrative headquarters of the Corporation of London. I think the Lord Mayor has an office there. This is the Police Museum. City of London. Yeah, here you go. City of London Police Museum. There's more offices down there, and then they've got this. They've got an amphitheatre, actually. The Roman amphitheatre was, I think, discovered only about 30 years ago. Of course, it's not all of it. It's just the foundations of it, and it's not all the foundations. It's just a bit, really. But I think for many years, people assumed that there had to be an amphitheatre somewhere, and then it was all the foundations were discovered. Not that long ago, about 30 years ago, which in the great scheme of things isn't that long. Alrighty, bye. Najma, I had to take this video. I mean, we are in Chancery Lane. Look at this. Okay, it's Sunday. It's about 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, but nevertheless, I mean, we're just. Actually, should say, on the right-hand side is the City of London. On the left-hand side is the borough of Camden. So here's a border. But look at it. I mean, even for a Sunday afternoon, this should not be this quiet. I mean, okay, we're in the City of London. One normally expects it to be really quiet on a Sunday because all those banks are closed and all of that. And just over to the left a little bit is the Covent Garden area, where presumably it's a little busier than this, I guess. And to be fair, a lot of these stores here are probably closed on Sunday anyway. But nevertheless, this is still weird. Understandable though, I suppose.